and welcome to another episode of Convos with Sazón with yours truly. Our guest today is Irene Morales. She is a comedian, a writer, and an actress. How are you?
Thanks so much for having me. This is so nice.
I'm so excited. I already have a feeling we're going to have a lot of fun today.
I'm so proud of you.
Oh my gosh.
This is so
thank
nice.
you.
This is like a todo meter. Oh yeah, we can do Spanglish the whole time.
Absolutely.
Okay.
We'll be doing Spanglish and Spanish and English, whatever
Okay.
you want / whatever you feel most comfortable with.
Okay.
Part of that, actually, that question is tied to who you are and your upbringing and the fact that you were raised in Miami, but it's my understanding you're Cuban and Croatian.
Paraguayan, but like prior to Paraguay, sure, there's like Croatian and Italy and all that stuff.
Okay, let's talk about all of that.
Okay.
Your upbringing, your background, how has that influenced what you've decided to do, if at all?
Oh, okay.
At the intersection of writing, comedy, and acting.
I feel like being Latina is so wild, right? Like, don't you feel like your life is a story? I mean, like everybody has a story, I guess.
100%.
But my parents sent me to school in Miami only speaking Spanish. They were like, figure it out.
Mis papás eran igual.
Right? Oh, so you, yeah.
But on purpose. So
no, totally same.
they were like, we trust that you are going to pick up English afuera de la casa.
Totally.
It's more of a risk for you to lose Spanish if we don't enforce it. So
Totally.
that's our focus.
Yeah.
Tenía toda la razón.
Yeah.
What a concept, right? Parents being right.
De vez en cuando se equivocan and they're right. Yeah, my parents were on the same tip, and you're Colombiana.
100% colombiana.
But you were born in Colombia.
Sí. But I moved at the age of 4.
Shit. Oh, okay.
So most of my life has been in the U.S., but that connection to the country is still very much alive.
Oh, for sure. My mom's Cuban, and she came when she was 5. And so, like, she obviously very much remembers Cuba, but then also remembers having to assimilate and, like, peanut butter and jelly sandwiches and root beer and Coke floats and all these, like, little things. Like, when I first moved to New York, I'm like, Mom, there's this thing called wiffle ball. And she's like, how do you not know what wiffle ball is? I'm like, how do you know what wiffle ball is? Like, how did you send me? She goes, how do you not know? And I had no idea. Do you know what wiffle ball is?
I do know. I don't play. I can't say that I play it.
Sure. No, I mean, a bunch of the comedians play, and I like went to hang out, and I'm like, sure, I know what this is. Ni puta idea. But I wanted to assimilate. I wanted to be like, oh, yeah. And it's so funny. My boyfriend's an Americano gringo, and like, we just were talking about this today. On one of our first dates, I'm like, oh, do you want something? And he's like, yeah, I'd love a root beer. And I'm like, okay. And then I brought him a Dr. Pepper, and he's like, okay. And I was like, what? And he's like, this isn't root beer. And I'm like, isn't it the same? And he goes, no, yo todavía. Like, I barely understand. Like, to this day, I don't know. I'm Diet Coke. Diet Coke is like my cigarettes.
It's funny that you mentioned earlier PB&J as well as root beer because those are two things that I cannot get behind personally. I think it's such an acquired taste, and I don't have that taste. But I respect it. So
wait, you don't like? Wait, you? Wait, I'm gonna. Now I'm getting
either
serious.
of them. I know.
But okay, so what would they make you for school for your lunch?
Oh, girl.
No. Let's talk about it. No, because I and I have. Okay,
it is a story. So my dad, and I talk about this all the time because it's one of the things that characterizes my dad. He is the chef of my family, and he does it with all the love and very much keeping our roots in mind. So others had sandwiches. We had lentejas. We had frijoles, bandeja paisa. We would have sopas. Yeah. So convenience-wise, not the most convenient to transport.
That's insane. You were like going to school with like a cantina.
100%.
That's hilarious.
And I also,
good for him.
I don't mind eating things cold. So yo me lo comía frío, caliente,
Sure.
whatever.
Yeah.
My brother was not the same. He would sometimes skip lunch at school
Qué
because it
majadero.
didn't look great or it didn't smell the greatest, but it tasted delicious. I did not care. I'm like, yep, pa dentro.
Is it just the two of you? Is he younger or
he is
older?
younger.
Oh, like me.
Yeah.
How? What's the age difference?
18 months, almost exactly.
So we're 10 months, and everyone's always like, whoa. And I'm like, my dad is South American. Yes. He couldn't wait. So yeah, every November we're the same age.
Okay.
My little brother is October 26th, and I'm December 9th.
Okay. Happy early birthday to you both.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay, so talk about being
sorry,
raised in
enfócame,
Miami
yeah.
with Cuban influence, like, and everything also that Miami brings. But that's like the concentration of all Latinos in such a small space.
I love it. Yeah, like the Latino culture definitely, and obviously Cuban more than anything. Super usurps you. But like you got like my favorite food to eat late night, un poco borrachín, was Colombian food, like salchipapa. Like you guys crushed it.
Have you had our hot dogs? Those are crack.
Yeah. Yeah, with all the little papitas and the salsitas.
It's diabetes on a plate, but
I
hey, it's
know,
delicious.
but I love it. I love it. It's so funny. There's a place, I think it's Venezolano, but there's a Venezuelan place that's a little bit similar by our house in Bushwick, and I've shown my boyfriend and forget it.
What's it called so I can go?
Santa Salsa. It's
Okay,
great.
noted.
Yeah, it's great. And then they have like choripan, and they have like a parrilla, which is just like meat on top of French fries, which is perfect. And like the chimichurri, it's awesome. Well, if you're in Bushwick, hit me up. I live there. We'll go.
Absolutely, I will. I would love to.
But yeah, what's interesting about Miami is that it's so Latino that like I'd walk around, like people knew to speak to me in Spanish. I don't know if it was the eyebrows or they saw my mom and they're like, this one just came out like el lechero, like the milkman's daughter. So yeah, I love, somebody told me a while ago that if you're raised speaking two language, like if English is your second language, then you're raised with two realities. And I was like, wow, that crystallizes it and explains it so well, because I do, like, you know, I'm sure you wake up and you're not really thinking like, oh, I'm a Latina in the world. You just kind of wake up and you're like, okay, brush your teeth, whatever. And then it's not till something happens, like someone's like, get me a root beer or whatever, or I'm running late or something. And then I'm like, oh yeah, I am. Obviously, like being Latina, like it permeates everything in your life, like all the time.
Yes.
I think it's probably what makes me so gregarious. Like I could talk to the wall if you left me alone in here. Do you know what I mean? Encantada.
Yeah.
And they're like, is she okay? I think that answered your question. Your question was so good, and I feel like lo caía parada.
You kind of answered my question. It was more
Okay.
so like, how was the upbringing, which is the part that you answered,
Right.
and how has that influenced the type of humor that you do, and the fact
Oh,
that
yeah.
you know, comedy. And correct me if I'm wrong, because it's different for everybody.
Sure.
But for the most part, both those coming to enjoy just as much as those that are delivering the jokes, it is kind of a form of therapy, and you use
Totally.
your life experiences as quite literally the inspiration for everything you're talking about.
1,000%. Yeah, I think I said it just before we started recording, but my grandmother passed away, but she was like you, very fina, always put together, everything, like the jewelry matches the shoes, matches the titiri. And then my mom and I were like these mutants, like just tomboy, like peínate tu pelo, like whatever. And all those, all that like kind of like, I don't want to say conflict, but just like
The contrast.
yeah, the contrast made me who I am, and me navigating that contrast is what informs my humor. And like, so I have. I've been doing comedy for 18 years, but my first jokes were about my grandmother being like, equating my comedy career to prostitution. She's like, oh, so you're going to go do what it is you do at night? Like, I might as well have been a puta, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, talking on stage. She sent me to Sacred Heart, I think hoping that it would be like a finishing school. And then I got there and it was all girls, and I'm like, oh, great, I'm never going to take a shower. I mean, I love showering, but you know what I mean? Like, we would just show up to school like animals. Like, okay, we're just ready to learn. Like, there's no boys here. We don't care. Sorry, I'm like, I'm like trying not to break Mike's equipment.
So 18 years in comedy, that is a long time.
Yeah, girl, I'm old. So I'm gonna be 40.
That's not why I said it. Porque you don't look like you're about to be 40, honestly.
Well, you look like you're 12, and I look like I'm whatever. But yeah.
Have you always known you wanted to pursue comedy? Like, where did that seed kind of start to grow?
That's such a good question. You know, I did one of those like, what should you be when you grow up? Those tests in the 5th grade. And it was doctor or comedian.
Wow.
And I do love science. Like, I think like there's a part of me that's like such a nerd that I would like happily, like, even when I read a book today, I'm like highlighting it, blue pen, underlining it. Like what test am I going to take? But when I was in high school, like I couldn't convert moles. Like I just started making up my own rules. And my teacher was like, I see what you're doing, but it's wrong. And my algebra teacher was like, you absolutely have to get tested for ADD. And then I told my mom, and my mom's like, I probably have it too. Just like, aguanta.
That's very...
She was like, deal with... Yeah, exactly. Super. I think it was like...
Está inventado en la cabeza.
Yeah. Esos son like ideas americanos. Like, no. And it's because like I think, you know, like my mom was going through it with my dad. My brother's autistic nonverbal. I think she was like, oye, like, aguanta. So I did. And now I'm just like 20 years later, like, hey, I'm here.
So you took the test.
I took the test and it was, comedian or doctor. But I started writing jokes when I was 14, just like very like Cuban goth Harriet the Spy, just like observing what was around me. But I always thought, even when I was 14, I was like, well, I can't go on stage without having a drink, just because I knew I was going to be cagándome. And then I'll never forget, I was 20 years old. I was dating this guy and I was like, oh, I think I'm going to do stand-up comedy. And we were dating and he's like, well, who would stay? Like, if you do that and we get married, like, who would stay home with the kids? And I was like, well, I'm going to break up with this guy. Like, because he was an artist. He was a jeweler. And everyone's like, how did you break up with a jeweler, girl? Think of the engagement ring. And I'm like, I'll buy my own ring.
Yeah.
But that's how people are.
Yeah.
But I'm old enough that 20 years ago, people are like, you're crazy. And I'm like, if he's already talking like that, what does he want me to do?
Right,
Just like cook in the kitchen forever? Like, oh, I love cleaning, which I do, but like, I want to do it because I want. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't want to be relegated to that.
Yeah. And also, when it relates to a partner dynamic, you would hope that the first comment is like, I believe in you, you can do it, we'll figure it out. Not like 20,000 steps ahead in the wrong direction.
1,000%.
Okay.
Isn't that crazy?
That is crazy.
No, now my gordo americano's un sol, and like he's like, yeah, like that's how, you know, we kind of met through, like we had mutual friends in comedy and that's how we met. And he's un amor. And like we actually, I mean, he casted me in a short and I was always like, was that your plan all along? Put me in your short, then make the move? No.
Look at that. Here you are now. Okay, so first jokes at 14, around 20, you were like, I'm going to pursue this.
Yeah.
What did your family say? O sea, siendo familia latina, education is so important, right? And having an official job or like a reputable job is also very important. So talk about your experience with that as well.
Oh, yeah, no, I still had to. It's funny because I remember I was making a portfolio to apply to film school. And I was in my room working on it, and my mom was in the next room over, like literally saying novenas, like long rosaries for me to not get in. And I didn't get in, and it was fine because it was like 8 white guys in Orlando. So I'm, you know, God works in mysterious ways, and like I dodged a bullet. But no, but there was never a question. Like I was never not going to finish college. And so like,
What did you study?
Communications, of course. Yeah, I'm like, what's the one major que no tiene a lot of math? Perfect. I was like, great, I'll do that one. So I did, I graduated from Florida International University.
Okay. They have a great communications program, actually.
Yeah, no, I liked it. I mean, I liked it a lot. And like, we actually went to Sevilla. We did like a study abroad program in Sevilla for like how many weeks? I think it was like 3 weeks. And we like learned, you know, about like the flamenco dancers and they like took us all in the Alhambra. It was gorgeous. And the whole point was like, okay, learn about Sevilla so then you can make a presentation to present to the tourism board to help sell Sevilla, like to help bring in tourism. So I loved it. I was like encantada. I'm like, this is great.
Awesome.
Oh, it was awesome. Yeah, I'm sure you've been.
Yeah, I've been to Spain. I've been to Sevilla, yes. And I actually did a study abroad program in Barcelona.
Oh, cool. I just went to Barcelona.
Did you love it?
I loved it. It was gorgeous. I went with my prima though, and like we did, I like was crying at Sagrada Familia.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is so important.
Yes.
And then, and we did Casa Emilia, but we didn't get to do Parque Güell, and I'm like, shit, it's fine, we'll go back.
Yeah. Barcelona, it's also like, it's a relatively quick trip away.
And the food was great.
It's the best time.
Yeah.
Okay, so talk about the first time you went on stage. So you finished college. At 20, you were like, I kind of want to pursue this. What did it take to actually get on that stage? Have you ever been shy?
Okay, the short answer is yes. Like I'm shy at my day job that I still have.
Which we'll talk about as well.
Yeah. And they're super lovely, by the way. But anyway, I work in finance and like there was this one guy who he loved being like, well, here's Irene. She's very shy. Knowing that I did comedy, but it's like, when I'm at work, because I don't come, you know, like I do have to support myself. Like I can't be like, hey mom, pay my rent. Like eso no existe. So like I never want to jeopardize that. So when I go into my day job, I do it well, you know, and I don't like ruffle any feathers. Like I just go in, you know, I'm not like una payasa there or whatever, even though they did have me MC something recently. But even then HR was like, don't do that joke. And I was like, yeah, like that was a time they were like, everyone was like, are you nervous? And I'm like, yeah, because if I do bad on my own show, then it's just me. If I do bad there, that's HR. I could lose my job. You know what I mean? That like really jeopardizes things.
Yeah.
If I bomb at a bar or whatever, I walk, I get a Diet Coke, I go home. You know what I mean? Like I figure it out.
Yeah.
But my first time on stage was at the Miami Improv, which it's no longer in that location now. It's in Doral, if you know Miami. It was a bringer show. I was 21 years old. This was March 7th of 2007.
Que memoria.
What? That's my comedy anniversary.
March 7th, 2007.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's funny because then I moved to New York 7 years later in 2014.
7 is a lucky number for
I know.
you.
Yeah, it really is. And then like 7 years after moving here, I like got cast in a movie, and yeah, it's like it keeps following me. But yeah, it was a bringer show, which if you don't know comedy, it's like sometimes to perform at like a nice club, they're like, okay, you can, you know, they have like a bringer night where like they give you 5 minutes, but you have to basically fill the, you know, you have to bring in 10 people, and like they love it because they're like, you know, you're doing the job of filling the club for them. So I did it, and it went well. You know, I didn't totally bomb, and my friends were, you know, there, and they were very lovely, and I've been doing it ever since.
What about comedy keeps you hustling at your day job, right? To
Sure.
keep the stream alive.
I mean, shit, I really love it, huh? Like, I think I love all of it. I love writing. I love performing. You know, I mean, everybody says it, but it is like drugs. When it's great, it's like super great. And when you bomb, it's like you just want to like crawl into a rock and die under a rock, into a rock. Estoy quemada. I love the sense of community. I mean, Mike is like a dear friend. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. It's what I've done the longest at. Like, I can't imagine my life without. And there's, you know, and it's so funny. Sometimes I'm at home and I'm like encabronada and I'm like, I don't even want to do this show. And then I go and I'm like, oh, that was the best. Do you know what I mean? I also love that it's given me such a great skill to like manejar. I don't know. It's like, sure, I think I could always talk to the wall, but now with 18 years of comedy, it's like más todavía. You know what I mean? And I think it's made me a better actor too.
Yeah. How would you define your sense of comedy?
I think it's anecdotal, like very stories about like what we were saying about growing up. Observational, self-deprecating. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, I got picked on a lot, so I never want to make fun of anyone. Like I'd rather make fun of myself. Like I'm gonna beat you to the punchline. Like you don't get. Yeah, I'm not gonna let you. Like growing up, my nickname was Tishi, but when I started doing comedy, I'm like, no, I'm gonna go by Irene Morales because I'm not gonna give them that ammo of. I'm not gonna let some booker read like Tishy Fishy. Like no. You know. So that's like sorry. Tishi's like a nombrete that like my mom and my prima who I was just with, like they all say it, but no. And you know, also could you imagine at a job interview, hi, I'm Tishi? Like no.
I mean, a name is a name at the end of the day.
Sure. If your name is Tishi, there's
own it
nothing.
if you want to.
Totally, but like Miami 20 years ago.
Yes,
I
it
needed
has a history with you. Yeah.
Yeah. No, and I just wanted to like protect myself in that way.
Yeah.
I just beat people to the punchline, which again is I think of a common thing for comedians.
Let's talk about the duality of pursuing comedy while still having a whole other career in addition to it, right? So what were you doing in Miami? That eventually how did that transfer over to you coming to New York and keeping that, you know, tie to comedy alive while simultaneously having something that will sustain a livelihood, you know, while you're following your passion?
I mean, I think like most artists, I can't not have a job. You know what I mean? Like, would love it for my parents to bankroll me, but that's not my reality. When I first started comedy, I had just graduated. I had a job in advertising, which is what I had studied. And it was so funny. The advertising agency was on the 3rd floor, and the improv was on the first. So it was great. Like, this is all in Coconut Grove, which is totally different now, but in Miami. So yeah, like I'd get out of Crispin Porter Burgusky, go downstairs, and like go to the improv. But then I realized that retail was like a job that wasn't that like emotionally exhausting. You know, I could just like I could work in the store and like do it and then leave. Also, I tried being a bartender one day, and my grandmother was like, "No, she was never happy that I did comedy, but I think she kind of realized like this isn't going anywhere." So then like there was like a month where I was working at the Biltmore in Miami. I don't know if you've been. I'm sure. Yeah, it's beautiful. And I was working at like the pool bar, like making mojitos, and she was like, "Not my nieta." Like, you know what I mean? I think she was like, "No." And so she kind of freaked out, and I was like, "Okay." But like retail was something that she could be like, "Okay, like it's okay if you do retail." And so I worked at like so many stores. I worked at American Apparel, which was wild. If you've watched the documentary, that was like light, like the light version. Mary Mecco, Diane von Furstenberg. And then at Neiman Marcus, I was working there, and this guy who used to work for, or I don't want to say his name because he's a private person, but he told me, he's like, I would love to have someone like you work at Barney's in New York. He goes, if I could get you, and he knew that I was a comedian. He's like, if I could get you a job in New York, would you move? I'm like, in a second, because he knew like he's of Filipino descent, so he understands that like, yeah, like that I needed to have a day job. And he's like, if I can get you a job at Barney's, would you move? And I'm like, yeah, of course. And so, yeah, I became the Oliver Peoples eyewear specialist at Barney's. And that's how I was able to move to New York.
Okay.
That job lasted for a year. Then I worked at Calvin Klein Corporate. And now this was like through the comedians, like, you know, long story, but I wasn't working at Barney's. And then one of the comedians was like, I can get you a job at Barney's. From Barney's, they were like, I can get you a job at Calvin Klein. And I was like, oh, great. And then whatever, it's not even worth saying, but then they needed a temp person, like a temp secretary at where I am now, which I don't know if I should say it. I just work in finance.
That's it.
Yeah.
You can leave it at finance.
They needed una secretaria in this finance thing, and I was like, oh, I can do that. And they've been lovely. Like I got this thing for Netflix, and I found out Friday. I was like, hey, I have to be there Monday, and they were like, yeah, go. And I think because I'm so good with them, you know, like I go, I do my work, I leave. And yeah, I think I honor it so much because I know that it's funding my dreams. It's like what's keeping me here, you know? It's like, oh, I can buy my Metro card and food and keep. I mean, little Irene, like living in New York was un sueño. It was like, oh, you know, and I remember talking to my cousins and they're like, don't you want to go there? And I'm like, yeah, but it's so expensive. So to now be here 11 years is crazy.
So that means you have officially earned your New Yorker badge, because at the 10-year mark is what I've been told.
Sure.
You have it.
Even though I'm very hesitant to say that in front of like native New Yorkers.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I know people who are like born and bred in New York who are like from Brooklyn, and like I know to not even say that in front of them. And I kind of get it. Like there's people, even though if somebody says that about living in Miami, I'm like, yeah, sure. But there's still a distinction. Yes. Like I'm like born and bred in Miami, and like, I don't know. Where did you grow up? Like, do you?
So at the age of 4, my family and I moved to the Maryland area of DC.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so that's where I've lived most of my life.
Okay.
And then lived in Barcelona for more than half a year for study abroad.
Oh, cool.
Lived in LA for a summer, hated it.
Yeah.
Just not for me.
Sure.
Lived in New York for a summer, loved it, and eventually wanted to find my way back. Las Vegas, and now back here.
What were you doing in Las Vegas, girl?
I was a news reporter. Mm-hmm.
Did you like it?
Honestly, yeah, I really loved it. It was one of those things that I'm not sure how familiar you are with, like how TV news works, but essentially it's based on market size. So the bigger the market, the obviously more senior you are. Las Vegas is a city, like for me to not have had to go to the middle of nowhere is a miracle, because that's what they tell you in journalism school. Like prepare to go to Idaho, to the Dakotas, and then kind of like work your way up.
And then work your way, got it.
But because I'm bilingual.
Oh, you were like,
that
blew everybody out of the water. Hell yeah.
Benefit.
Good for you. Love it.
So I started out in Las Vegas and I was there for a year. And honestly, when I got the job offer, I'm like, okay, the only like thought I have about Vegas is the stereotypical.
Sure, of course.
The Strip, it's crazy. But
Yeah,
like,
everybody running around
at
naked.
least it's a main city. Like I was thinking quality of life. Like what am I going to do after work? You know,
Sure.
it's a big enough city that like I
Eat
can
somewhere
do
nice.
things.
Totally.
You know.
Yeah.
And I was very pleasantly surprised by how much culture it actually has.
Oh, for
Outside of the
sure.
Strip, there's
Yeah.
so much. Also, having been raised on the East Coast, now going to the West Coast, the landscapes are super different. Like, I really liked it. I think for the year that I was there, it was perfect. Anything more, ya se estaba sintiendo como que small town a little bit.
Sure.
But like you said, I mean, crazy how things work out because I ended up in New York eventually, and I love it. But going back to your question, I think it's the whole, or sorry, what you were saying, the whole like New Yorker versus not your New Yorker versus implant. I think it's a perception thing.
Sure.
You know?
Yeah.
And I think what also makes you a New Yorker is the affinity that you have for the city. Like there are some people who have been here for years and years and years, but they may not feel as connected to it. They might not love it. They might be here because they feel like they have to be, not because they want to be.
Sure.
So definitely circumstantial, but I love that you dreamt of being here and here you are.
Oh, yeah, of course. You know what's crazy is we came to visit, my mom planned a road trip like all up the East Coast, like a nerd. She like, and this was like before the internet, so she had like maps and she had it all planned.
Did you guys use MapQuest, the printed version of MapQuest?
Girl, Toy Chuna Vieja, I had to, before MapQuest, there was freaking maps, like the big maps.
books?
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly.
As well.
And wait, before I forget, I have to mention another Latina. Jasmine Garza, who's a comedian, also was a reporter, I think in Las Vegas. So
No way.
she's awesome. She's in Arizona now, but I'm sure she'll come to New York and you should have her.
I
She
would
rocks.
love to. I have to look into her for
And
sure.
you guys, like news media training is so cool because I feel like I've been like, I've been like this on your podcast and you're so like, and back to this. And yes, like I should have taken an Adderall. I've been like, bing, bing, ding, ding, like, me da pena. But you've been so good about like,
No, que no te dé pena.
no, but you've been good about like, okay, Irenita, like let's enfócate un poco. Like I'm like, did I answer the question? Which now, wait, what was the next thing?
Well, we were talking about the fact that you had dreamt about being in New York and here you are 11 years later.
Yes. What? Oh, yeah. So my mom, like, mapped out this whole like trip all up along the East Coast. And when we got to New York, and I was like 11, or like I was little, like 10 years old. And I just got here and I was like, oh, this feels like home. Like it was this weird, because obviously Miami's home. Like that's where I was born. Like I didn't leave there till I was 28, till I moved here. And it was such a weird, like I knew I had always wanted to live here, but you could, like I've been to Venice and I was like, creeped out, and like Prague, and I'm like, I gotta get out of here. Like I could get taken at any moment. But it was so weird to be like, oh, this feels great. You know what I mean? And even when it's like una patada en el culo here, like I still love it. I mean, I think I was just talking about this with my cousin. I think no matter where you live, every 3 or 4 months you have to get out. Even if it's for a weekend, even if it's for, and I think la gente rica that like, that have lived in New York their whole lives and then they have like a house in the Catskills or upstate. I think it's because like, I don't want to get pushed anymore, which I get it.
Or the smells or the
Oh,
crowds.
yeah. I think everybody likes fall and winter here because there's no that pesta grajo. Yeah. You like can't smell it as much because everyone's in their coats. Oh my gosh. And when people don't wash their coats, that's what's crazy to me. Is like I was in the tropics till I was almost 30, and instinctually my first year at the end of the winter season, I'm like, okay, now I'm gonna take my coat. No one told me this. No one told me, oh yeah, this is the move. The season ended. I go, okay, I'm gonna take my coat to the dry cleaner. I mean, maybe this is my OCD neurotic, but I took it to the dry cleaner. They put it in el plástico, and then it stayed there till it got cold again. I'm like, how is everyone not doing this?
I also
What is
don't
that?
think that people realize that even though it's cold, you're still sweating under all of those layers.
Of course.
Like, if it were any other season, I don't think people would question it. But you're right. It's not as common sense as you would think. But you can tell with the BO that walks around during the winter time.
I do love, I love being Latina for a million reasons, but I do love our level of clean. Like my novio tries to clean and I'm like, oh, you're so sweet. And then I pick it up and I'm like, see how you just kind of like moved the grease around and you didn't really like clean it?
I have to ask because it's related to cleaning.
Sure. Oh yeah, AMA, like an open book.
Do you hand wash your dishes?
Yeah.
Do you use the dishwasher at all?
I don't have a dishwasher.
if you had a dishwasher, would you use it? I use mine as a drying rack, which is somewhat controversial to some people.
I think I would. I think I would use it. But you know what's funny is that I do the dishwasher at work. That's how much of a secretaria I am. And it doesn't clean as well.
That's what I say.
Yeah,
Amen.
it doesn't clean as well. So I think I would use it as like para ayudarme to help me a little bit. Because my boyfriend, I love him. I want to marry him. But he's one of these he's making one chicken and he dirties 7 things and there's marmalade on the ceiling. And I'm like, Gordo, you're making chicken. Like, what is this? So I feel outnumbered. And we have a little wiener dog, a little salchicha.
Yeah, we haven't talked about this.
Do you have a wiener
dog? I don't think we've talked about this. I have a wiener dog too.
What's his name?
His name is Milo.
Aw, let's see a picture.
Chocolate.
Oh no, your phone's over there, and I left mine outside. You have it on your yeah. I don't give a shit. Oh, this is your podcast. I'm like, I don't give a shit. So. Oh my God, he's perfect. How old is he?
Yours. He's 3.5. He's miniature.
God.
He's the
so is mine.
Thing.
Mine's
color?
4, black and tan. Chachi por salchicha.
Ay, amo.
And it's so funny because that's my gringo boyfriend. I explained to him, I'm like, oh, because you know how, okay, this is how I always explain it to people. I'm like, you know how in English, when people see a wiener dog, they go, oh, wiener dog. I go, it's the same in Spanish, but they see a wiener dog and they go, salchicha.
Yes.
Because I hear it all the time.
Yes.
It's funny, our friend, Mike knows him. There's a comedian, a friend of ours, Sam Rubinoff, un Julio, un amor. And I live in Bushwick, and he goes, Morales, I'd live in Bushwick if I spoke Spanish. And I'm like, oh my God, I never thought about it like that. Like, yeah, like everyone's speaking Spanish in Bushwick. And since I understand it, I'm like, whatever, I'm just walking. But I get it. If you don't speak Spanish, you might feel, I understand wanting to understand what everyone's saying. Lógico, of course.
How did you end up in Bushwick?
Oh my gosh, comedians. So this is a cute story. When I first got to New York, my first boyfriend, Diego Rodriguez, Cuban and Nicaraguan, we like dated when we were like 13, but we stayed friends and whatever. But he was studying at Columbia. He worked with Calatrava. He worked on the Oculus.
Wow.
So I'm so proud of him. There's like this part, like there's these staircases with the curved glass. And he's like, you see that curved glass? I did that. I'm like, Diego, I'm so proud. But he's un amor, and he let me like crash on his couch for a month in Crown Heights. And then, like the comedians were like circus people. We're like, we like help each other out. You know what I mean? So this one comedian from Miami, Oni, was like, oh, there's a room opening for $650 in Bushwick. And I'm like, that I can handle. I was working at Barney's. I'm like, that I can pay. But the room was so small that you could only fit a full-size bed, and I had to enter through the front.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, girl. So, and I'm neurotic. Well, I don't understand how everyone doesn't wash their bed sheets every week.
I had this conversation recently.
Oye, me pone mal.
Yes.
Everyone's like, you wash it every week? I'm like, hi, you don't? What are we talking about? So anyway, so it's so funny because every week when I would change my bed sheets, of course, I had like a little IKEA bed with a bed frame, and it was like,
Love me some IKEA.
Of course, but I felt like Spider-Man because I was like, and I'm like, but yeah, that was me. It's still, my room now isn't that much bigger, but at least I don't have to enter through the front. Oh my gosh. Anyway, sorry.
Speaking about the comedy community.
Oh, yeah.
Is it similar or different to other creative communities? And what I mean by that is there a lot of competition? Have you found more support than you have found, people who are trying to tear you down? Do you think that the community fosters the idea of like there's enough to go around type thing?
I'm laughing because I'm already thinking, I'm like, well, in comedy, there's a lot more mental illness.
Fair.
Do you know what I mean? I think there's a lot more ego. And I'll be very honest. Writing to me can feel very solitary, right? You're just in your room writing. So like, I write something, I put it on Substack. It's like a very like comedy. I may write the jokes by myself in my room, but I have to practice them. Like everything then happens on stage, right? Whether it's at an open mic or a proper show, and then whatever. And with acting, like I've been doing comedy the longest, so I'm hesitant to speak about like comparing comedy to acting. But in my experience, I can say I think because you have to embarrass like the 2 years that I was in acting school, it was so embarrassing so much. You know, like I had to sing, I had to like do weird movement stuff, and then I'm like doing this, and then all of a sudden I'm crying. Like I don't know if it was like somatic healing or what. I'm like, why am I crying? Like what is this? So it feels, I don't know, comedy can be super cutthroat, and I think actors are more like woo woo. You know what I mean? But I'm sure, I don't know, like musical theater and Broadway seems like it can be very, you know what I mean? So maybe I just haven't found that part of acting yet.
Yeah.
But I think you just have to like find your little crew and stick with it. And like Hasmin is part of it, Amama, Blair, like you just find your homies and you just kind of like, my friend Kanice, like you're just like, okay, like this is home base and I know that I can feel safe here. And even if it's like una casa puta outside, like, do you know what I mean? Yeah. And I'm sure, I mean, when you were at the news station,
oh my gosh, 100%.
Yeah,
because
right?
in news, especially the nature of the role that I had specifically, which is, yes, a news reporter, but more specifically, it's multimedia journalist. So you're doing the role of like 5 people. I was driving myself. I was editing, basically producing, writing.
Oh, so you're like a comedian, but of the news.
Yes.
Basically.
Yes, you do it all.
You're doing
set
it
up
all.
your own camera. Like, your office is the car, like it was in my case. And you move around a lot for the job. So you literally uproot your life. And you do it for however long it is.
And you're losing money, I'm sure.
Oh my gosh,
hemorrhaging money. Yeah.
Yes.
There's so many shows that they're like, oh, do a show in Chicopee. And I'm like, sure. And it's like, I'm $500 in the hole. And I'm like, pasanto de qué? For what?
At what point did acting kind of enter your life?
Oh, I think we were all little watching the Oscars, no? Mm-hmm. And I remember being young. It's so funny. I think, you might be too young. Do you remember The First Wives Club, that movie?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So I remember watching it when it came out. And Goldie Hawn is having, like, they're all having, you know, Bette Midler, they're all great in it. But I remember watching it thinking, I haven't lived enough to express that kind of emotion yet. Which in retrospect is a wild thought. Like, who's this Mohona thinking that far ahead? So I think I always liked it. And I think in comedy, like, there's a bit of acting where you have to act like this is the first time that you've said the joke. Or you have to act, you know, you could be like, I don't know, there's been times where I've gotten dumped and then I still have to like go and perform. So I have to act like it's all good. But I think to your point of like, you have to do it all. Like now in comedy, you have to like write and have a podcast and do sketches and like, you feel like you know, that guy with the 1 minute where it's like, ding, 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 ding. Yeah. Like the monkey, you're like, no para. But I think I always liked it. I think, yes, I've said this before. I think the reason why I gravitated towards comedy, besides being the chunky kid, which is another formula of mine. I think if you ever meet a hot person who's nice, it's because they used to be fat. Tell me no, though. Whatever.
Wow, that's
it's
a
okay.
hot take.
It's a hot take. But yeah, I think I knew that with comedy I could write, like it was quicker, like I could perform my material, I could write my material then perform it, whereas acting, it's so much more collaborative. Like I either have to write the whole play or write the whole screenplay, and then with a movie, get all these cameras, get the sound guy, whereas comedy, you just write it and you walk on stage and you do it. But yeah, my gringo, my gordo, who I'm dating now, we started dating 4 years ago, and like for my first birthday together, like he was like, look, you're really good, like you should kind of take this seriously. He goes, if you find an acting school that you like, and I'll pay for it. My gordo. So yeah, so I like
¿Qué diferencia, no? Compared to the ex that you talked about?
Yes, girl, right? Yeah. I always tell young girls, I mean, boys, whatever, like whenever someone's bummed about like, oh, I got broken up with, I'm like, oh yeah, it's the best thing that ever happened. Just like when they fire you from a job, like, it's like a blessing in disguise.
Amen.
Totally, truly. Right? Yeah. And I met John, like not even, it's so funny. I was finally at a point in my life where I'm like, well, you know, I'm just going to be like, and I had always thought about what
everyone says. It's when you're not looking for it, when you least expect it.
But it's true because you're just like, you know, I don't know. Yeah. And then we met, but he was like, yeah, you should really consider it. And I like kind of researched a ton of programs in New York, and William Esper, where I went, is Meisner. Okay. Meisner technique.
What does that mean for those who don't know?
Oh, sure. It's a lot of like just listening and responding really. And like, you know, so like if we're in a scene, like I'm going to focus on you and like react to what you're doing. So you could say, I love you. But if you're like, I love you, I'm like, what? You know, I know that you're like puteando, man, that you don't really mean it. And then, but to be locked in, because to be an actor who's just like waiting to say their lines is like.
That's what I've heard.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I had.
Cool. I'm glad I said it right.
I have a friend who's an actor, and he was like, obviously everyone approaches it differently, but it's a balancing act of like knowing your lines and simultaneously being able to adapt them to the moment itself, so that it does come across more natural. Because if you tie it to like a specific prop, and if that prop isn't there anymore, or if something changes that you otherwise needed when you were training, it kind of messes you up. But anywho, okay, you were saying
no, or the performance goes stale. And to your point, my boyfriend works on like film sets, and he was working on a movie with Nicole Kidman, and he's like, they did 50 takes, and every take was something different. And I'm like, wow, and like you hear that, you know, like all like Viola Davis and Meryl Streep, like they all do that. They all can like just like really churn out different takes.
Who would you say has been an inspiration in the comedy front and then also in the acting realm?
Oh God, these are such good questions. I should have come prepared. In comedy, I mean, I remember being young and like loving Joan Rivers and what an animal she was. And I loved that Robin Williams was such a great comedian, but also an incredible actor. And I loved, my mom would play Alvarez Guedes. I don't know if you know who that is. He's a comedian. So one of his jokes, and now I don't have to translate it, but they're like, él es come mierda como una campana. Es tan, 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 tan come mierda. You know, like just like, I don't know. Yeah, it's good. Like his shit's great.
One, yeah.
Oh, it's all like mnemonic. It's very funny like that. Okay, now that we're talking about Spanish jokes, there's this other joke where I'm just going to say it in English so everybody understands. Because there are a lot of Latinos who don't know Spanish, and I feel bad because their families did it to assimilate. Like, we're so grateful that our parents were like, and that we lived in, like, what a position of privilege that we grew up in places where it was okay to speak Spanish. Because not everybody has that privilege, you know. And I know certain, I'm not going to say their names out of privacy, but like, you know, they were like, coño, like, don't speak Spanish, you know, because like it's not safe. So I'm going to say it in English. But so there's so this guy has a parrot, and the parrot keeps making collect calls, and the guy's like, if you make another collect call, I'm going to nail you to the wall. And the parrot keeps making collect calls, and the guy's like, if you make another collect call, I'm going to nail you to the wall. The parrot makes another collect call. Finally, the guy nails him to the wall, and the parrot's on the wall, and right next to him is a statue of Jesus Christ on the cross. And you know how on the top it says Inri in Latin? The parrot goes, psst, Inri, who did you call? Isn't that good? ¿A quién te llamaste?
Have you found that, especially being bilingual, you know, there are some things that you literally cannot translate.
Oh, totally.
Like, especially when it comes to comedy, it just does. It's not the same.
1,000%.
Similar sentiment as if you have to explain something, it's no longer funny. And same thing, like when when you try to find the literal translation, people are like, okay, and you're like, you don't get it. You don't get it.
Totally.
Have you run into that?
I'm sure I have, and I can't remember. But what I have been able to translate, I do. Well, okay, so I'll say one that's been good and one that's been bad. One that's been good is my grandmother. Oh, and this, okay. One that's been good that my grandmother used to always say is, if somebody was boring, she'd say, ay, son una papa sin sal. They're a potato without salt, which I love. And whenever I say it in English, people are like, oh my God, I love it. And I also love how, like, it's funny now that they in English say, I can't, because I've grown up saying no puedo. Like, we've been saying no puedo our whole lives. Yeah. So I think it's so funny that they're like, oh my God, I can't, you know? But then what was I going to say that doesn't work? Ay, coño, now I can't remember.
I'm sure it'll come to you.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll come to me. The other thing I was going to say is there's also like little phrases Like Papa Sin Sal, I thought everyone said that. And then my friend Ellie, who's like my comedy wife, was like, no, girl, that's your family original. You know what I mean? But then like, lo que está pa ti, nadie te lo quite. Like that's all of us, you know? Or like, el diablo sabe más, no por ser diablo, pero por ser viejo. Like that one I love. I hope I remember the one that wasn't a good example. Anyway.
It'll come to you.
Yeah.
You mentioned earlier, and also you've literally demonstrated it, how much of an open book you are.
Oh, yeah.
Have you always been that way? And as a result, has comedy been not necessarily easier, but being vulnerable when it comes to both acting, but especially when it comes to drawing upon inspiration for your comedy, has that been easier?
You're so good at this. You're so good. I'm like,
thank you.
Yes. My brother was diagnosed with autism when he was 2 years old.
Okay.
And I always knew, like my parents were very good about like, hey, he's autistic and you have to like kind of look out for him. So I think because, and like at times, like he's my brother, but I've always felt more like a parent than a sibling. So I think kind of always looking out for him and always, kind of just made me an open book in that way, like constantly having to explain and like address the situation and whatever, and kind of like constantly breaking the, like I'll never forget, we were at Sephora again like 20 years ago, and I had to return something because it like wouldn't open, and the girl, and he was standing next to me, and the girl goes, oh, you couldn't open it either, and I was like, oh no, he doesn't talk, you know what I'm saying? And so, but like those are little micro things, but I'm 40, like, so it's been my whole life of like, oh no, he doesn't talk, oh no, you know. One time he like got naked and jumped in the pool. We were like, okay, like at like a public, like at a yacht club, we were like, ah. So I think growing up with that just kind of makes you more open. But even, if I ever make jokes, like if I ever, I have jokes about him, but it's not really, it's about how cool he is and what a nerd I am. So I think being an open book while still like respecting him, my family, which is why like I can make fun of I always choose to make fun of myself to kind of protect everybody else. Did that? I feel like your question had 2 parts.
No. That does answer the question because it speaks to how you approach vulnerability and whether or not it's been natural or not. And you answered that.
Yeah.
When it comes to writing, both for comedy and otherwise, where do you draw your inspiration aside from lived experiences? And do you approach the type of writing differently based on what it's for?
I'll answer it in reverse. Do I approach it the type of writing? Yes.
Okay.
I feel like with comedy, it's just kind of like as it's happening to me, and I just kind of write it down on my phone or I try to flesh it out. But really, and sometimes just in talking to people, it helps me think of it. I think if I were to like sit, or when I have sat down and like written a Substack, I'm just kind of like there, and I kind of like it. Like I want it to feel like we're talking like this. And then I'm writing a screenplay now, and I want to shoot myself in the face, and that's like a motherfucker, to say the worst word. I love writing dialogue, but you have to like structure the whole thing. So I'm still figuring, but again, my like, Amama and my friend Becky and like, I'm sure Kenise, like I'm surrounded by so many amazing women who are incredible writers that I know I have like cobbled together and be like, look at this the cojonado thing that I've written. And they're like, ay, cariño, write out a beat sheet. So now I'm like, okay, coffee, water, Diet Coke, beat sheet, Adderall,
the 3
let's
girl
go.
drinks.
Yeah. I know. I love how that's like a thing now. I'm like, I've been doing that.
Your whole life.
Yeah, of course. Coffee, water, Diet Coke, todo. Why not? Like, this is like here to be cute. If this was me, I'd be like, like 4 things.
Every aspect of what you do seems, acting, writing, and being in comedy, which all go hand in hand, like you've established. You put yourself in a position where you can get public scrutiny, right? You're welcoming the opinion of others, whether you want it or not.
Sure.
How do you block that out? And if it affects you at all, I mean,
of course. Yeah.
As somewhat of a public figure in the capacity, simply because you're interacting with audiences, those who are reading your work, those who watch what you act in, how do you handle that?
I'm still figuring it out. But I think all of the things, I think, I went to therapy every week for like 7 years, which as a Latina was
A huge taboo.
Right? Like I didn't go to, I started having like massive panic. I mean, I've had panic attacks, you know, like my whole life, but like it wasn't until I moved to New York and I like had a really bad one at Barney's that day that I was like, okay, hasta aquí llegué. And I'm like, we have to figure this out. And then it was so funny. Like a couple years in, I was like, oh yeah, Willa. I was like, my therapist, I was like, oh yeah, like what's the deal? Like what kind of crazy what am I? Bipolar? Like acá pone el huevo. Like tell me, what is it? And she's like, oh, I think you're like garden variety neurotic. And I'm like, that's it. I want a cool one. But so I think, you know, like all the things that, you know, meditating, you know, throwing your phone in the water, deleting not reading the comments, even though you read it anyway. But I just knowing that it's part of it. This comedian, Joe List, a comedian, recently posted, he's like, there are people out there who think that The Godfather is the worst movie in the world. So just know that like someone who has that wrong of an opinion could be commenting on your thing.
Yeah, like you can't please everyone. And at the end of the day, you're maybe not doing it for others. Why are you doing comedy?
Oh, yeah.
What is the motivation behind it?
To make people feel less alone. I think comedy, I mean, and everyone will tell you, like, comedy is either like a twist, you know, like, dee-dee-dee-dee-dee, and then the twist, or like a realization of truth. And that's what I love doing. I love when people are like, oh my God, me too. Like, I have a joke that it's like, sex for me is just trying to not look fat for 5 minutes. But you know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, I mean, I won't do the whole joke, but it's like, yeah. And it's so funny because I wrote that as a woman, like, okay, like our society wants us to be invisible.
Yes. And that's another taboo. Like sex in our culture is like.
No. Oh yeah. I really thought about being a nun. I still think about being a nun.
Oh my God.
Once a month at least, minimum, probably once a week. Truly. Like at 18, I was like, do I be a nun? And then I was like, well, I think I want kids. And I'm like, well, there goes that. But it's funny when I say that sex joke about not feeling fat, about trying to not look fat. It's funny to like look out into the audience and see how many men are. And I was like, oh, I've been like, you guys too? Like, I thought you guys get up. I don't give a shit, you know, like,
yeah.
I don't know. I'm sure some people want men to look a certain way, but I don't know.
I love that comedy brings out shared experiences.
Oh, yeah.
Because as a performer, right, because that is what you guys are at the end of the day, among other things, you feed off of people's energy. And I'm sure that you can tell when people either get it, whether they laugh or not, but like like you just said, like the facial expressions and like I, as someone who loves going to comedy shows, so I hope to catch you at one.
Oh, whatever.
Moving forward, I find that the funniest jokes are the ones that actually strike a chord with something that I have lived or experienced or something that I agree with. Because I'm like, oh my gosh, yes, it's funny, but also it's funnier because I know exactly what that's like. Wow.
That's my podcast that I'll be starting here at this studio is called Freak Shit because I genuinely believe that everyone's a little bit of a freak. And freak can be your own interpretation. It doesn't, you know, some people immediately go to like BDSM, which whatever. But I genuinely prefer egg whites.
Me too.
Okay,
yes.
girl, with our dachshunds and our egg whites, let's go to brunch. Let's be those bitches at brunch.
Yes.
But some people, like, I have chef friends who are like, why? And I'm like, no, I'm not an asshole. Like, if you serve me una like tortilla, like if
lo que sea, but
right,
the preference.
But if I'm paying money for it, that I worked at my little secretary job, yeah, I'm getting my egg white omelet that I want, or a hard boiled egg. I do a hard boiled egg. I scoop out the yolk and I put pico de gallo.
Ooh.
Or guacamole. Don't even look at me.
Oh
With a Diet Coke.
I add guac to everything.
Yeah,
That
of
is
course.
delicious.
Yeah.
Speaking about your podcast, because you had one previously.
Girl, I've had like 2 or 3. I'm old.
Okay, so how will this one differ, if at all? Let's talk about evolution, both your evolution as a comedian, as a writer, as an actor, but also like how that translates to the projects that you now take on and how you maybe approach them differently, including the upcoming podcast.
I think I'm blessed to be the age that I'm at and have the perspective that I have and like my past failures to help inform me on how to avoid them in the future. So I think I've definitely had 2 podcasts. I think I take it more and more seriously each time Do you know what I mean? So with my last one, like I had little stickers and I had my friend make the cute thing and I had it up on Apple iTunes and I had even started a Patreon. But like what you were saying, like how you were saying as a media, what's the correct title? Media,
multimedia journalist.
Multimedia journalist. You're like, you know, you feel like you're banging on all the pots and pans. And I'm like, okay, with this one, like, I'm going to do it in a studio, como la gente fina, nice. Like, Mike's a buddy. I trust him blindly. You know, we're in the clip economy. Kill yourself. Do you know what I mean? Like, so I'm approaching it differently, just with more intentionality and, like, knowing and researching the tools to set myself up for success.
I love that.
I know. I kind of just, as I was saying it, I'm like, oh, that sounds nice.
So you mentioned that it's about your belief that everyone to a certain extent is a freak. So
a little weirdo,
what can people expect? Will you have guests?
Yeah.
Will it be like monologue? Like what's your vision for this?
It'll be like this, and I think I'll open it by asking them like what makes you a little freak. And I'll kind of like let the conversation go that way. I think I just thought of it this morning that I think I want to add or last night, I want to add this segment at the end. I think I might keep that a secret.
Yeah, that's okay.
No, and yeah, but I think I also know so many cool people that it feels criminal to not share it. Like my friend Lucci, another badass Latina, Chilean, Italiana, opened up a super successful restaurant in Miami called Boyade, and she's like Michelin star, and then she opened another one, and it's like I can't wait to like have her here and be like, talk about it. Or I guess I'll have to bring it to Miami, but I'll figure it out. But yeah, you'll have to come on.
Oh my gosh, I would love to.
And this is when the roles are reversed.
Yes,
but it's not going to be done organized. Okay, know that it's like una casa puta when you're with me. It's like.
If it makes you feel any better, when I prepare for interviews, this is a guide, but I've maybe used 3 of the questions that I prepared.
Okay, do you guys see that? Familia, this is like a fucking look at this. Like the SATs.
Which is great because. Honestly, what I go for is organic conversation, and this has been one of the most organic. So
you're crushing it.
I do have to ask because you mentioned having the tools to succeed. And I want to circle back to acting.
Okay.
Because you mentioned going to acting school, right? And you kind of left us there in terms of like you were taking it seriously out of a recommendation from your boyfriend, but what has come of it from now? I know that Netflix and some other shows. So like tell us about that. How that aspect of your creativity has evolved.
It started though, so a couple years ago, a comedian, Henry Foley, who's I love dearly, approached me to do sketches with him. And he's like, I think it should be like this. And then I was like, well, what about if we do it like this? And it kind of evolved. And so we did this kind of like non-linear episodic vignettes, basically just little sketches.
Yeah.
And we did them as like a couple and, you know, we were fighting, like just like what couples go through. And now we put them out into the world and I'm like, whatever. And then the director of Tires saw them because he knows Henry Foley from Philly and kind of like was like, oh, okay. And like put it away in his head. And then, when we were at his birthday party and he's like, oh, I would love for you to be in season 2. And I'm like, I'll be a janitor. Like I'll do whatever. And it's funny because he wanted me to play a Latina. He's like, oh, we have this role for a Latina HR person. You're Latina, do it. I'm like, great. And they submitted my headshot to Netflix and Netflix goes, she's not Latina presenting enough. And I get it. They want me to look like you. They want me to look like Sofia Vergara. Like, they want me to look like Salma Hayek. Listen, I'm also devastated that I don't look like them. I didn't choose to look like this. I am going to grow out my roots. I'm going back to, like...
Pelo oscuro.
Yeah, because I'm sick of hearing it. My friend Kevin's like, you look... When I first dyed my hair blonde, he's like, you look like the drug dealer's wife. I'm like, I am the drug dealer. But anyway, and this director, his name's McKeever, was so lovely that... You know, Netflix shot me down for the Latina thing. And then he's like, bueno, and came back around with this other role, which is what I ended up doing as the consultant. And I'm so grateful because at the moment I don't have a manager. I don't have an agent. So I'm just kind of out here like en cuera. Do you know what I mean? And that role, like now I'm SAG. And like, que honor, you know, and my teacher was so proud because like I graduated and like 3 months later I was like in this SAG project and he was like,
That's awesome.
yeah. But, you know, and now I, you know, like every other actor, I'm just like always auditioning. I did an audition, like a self-tape, and I had to be Italian, and I like put on an Italian accent. And I'm sure you know Italian.
Let's hear the Italian accent.
Oh, it was bad. No, I don't want to get, I'm not going to get canceled, but this, whatever. I mean, they said to put the, whatever. but I was such a nerd. I like, it was happening, like the scene was like a date at an Italian restaurant, and I set up a table with like una velita, I lit the candle. Oh. And it's so heartbreaking because like you do all this stuff and then you don't even hear anything. It's not like, hey, we liked you, but can you like pull back the Italian accent or push it up even? Because I can.
Yeah, like, give me something to work with and I'll work on it.
But it's like, imagine getting ghosted every day. And not even a text. It's like this. I have to like set up all these lights at my house and a titiri, and I put on makeup and like my little, and whatever. Every day getting ghosted. Tell me, sorry.
What would you say are some of the biggest challenges that you face that people wouldn't suspect? Like, what does it take to get up on stage in front of strangers and literally open up your heart from lived experiences and kind of like maybe mask it with a joke, but in reality, like there is some truth to it, or being vulnerable in front of a camera and investing or like envisioning you playing the role that you're auditioning for and not hearing back, for example? Like, what are some challenges that maybe you haven't talked about before?
I mean, like whenever I perform, I still get a little, whenever they say Irene Morales, I'm still like, just as I'm walking on stage. And then what's gnarly is if I'm performing and they just don't like me. And it's fine. And I get that I'm not for everyone, but it's a bummer when there's like, you're like, coño, this sample set of 50 people and nobody likes me, or they're just not feeling it. Or, I mean, I always made that joke that, you know, like doing comedy in Miami, like, again, when I was there, you know, 11 years ago, for the first 7 years that I started doing stand-up, my joke was like, they were mad that I wasn't Coke. You know what I mean? Like, they're like, oye, vieja, like, we just want to party. So it's tough when you can feel that they don't like you and you have to keep, you know, like when you're bombing, but you know, it would be worse to like walk off the stage. And then the other part of your joke was like, how do you be vulnerable in acting? I mean, like, I really just, I'm like, this whole time I've just been trying to be present with you.
Yeah.
It's funny, I kept stumbling over my words just then, but I really, as much as I keep like playing to the camera just to be like una jamona, I do keep trying to like just focus in on you and your questions. And I think that focus creates that like openness and vulnerability.
Yeah, for sure.
And like, yeah, the camera just happens to be capturing it.
Speaking to your writing process, how do you know that a joke is ready? Because it's an ongoing workshop, right?
Yeah.
And same thing with everything else that you write. What I have heard is like there's so many drafts until you're finally like, it's either this or nothing, you know? So what is your process like?
Similar. I think that when I first write a joke, I know it's always just like the first draft. And then once I perform it, that's like the second draft. And like, oh, what went well, what didn't go well. And if I have a question, I can just reach out to my friends. Like, I'm like, should I say sex or should I say, you know what I mean? And they're like, yeah, sex is the funnier word. And I'm like, okay. But yeah, I mean, you know, writing is rewriting. And I'm still learning. I mean, the script is like the hardest thing I've ever done. Jokes, I feel like, is more immediate. I think because I've been doing it longer and it's like they're smaller. It is fun to like always do certain jokes and then you can figure out like different ways to organize it and like different chunks and like, oh, I can do it like this in this order. That's fun. It feels like Jenga on steroids. I
also think that stand-up comedy is very similar to journalism. Here, bear with me.
No, I'm with you.
In terms of...
I was the one who said it earlier.
A great stand-up comedian will tie the beginning to the end.
Oh, yeah,
and there's
callback.
Still a narrative.
Totally.
And it also requires like being actively present, which is what you mentioned.
Yeah.
I always respect that a lot because I'm like, well, like I forgot that you had said that, but like it all ties it back together. It is very much a storytelling process of sorts. How often...
You guys are always telling stories.
Yes,
and I'm sure you have wild stories of you're like, they're trying to perform and somebody runs by naked.
So many. Luckily, I have not experienced that.
Oh,
but
okay.
The fact that most of the news isn't in the best part of town, you know, so here you are, like in the worst part of it, where a crime just happened.
Literally, and you're like, I'm
you have
here.
someone in your ear, but like you're actually alone, you know?
Okay, can I tell you, I did a Bumble commercial during the pandemic, which was wild, and my friend directed it, but she was in my earpiece. Bravo to you guys. I was like, and my friend Dulce Sloan directed it. She's a comedian. She's awesome. And my friend Matt Richards was in it. And the whole point was like, you know, how through Bumble you could date safely, right? Because like we're separate, but we can do a FaceTime and that can be a date. Matt was crushing it, but like Dulce was in my ear and I was like, whoa, like I just couldn't handle it because I'm not like, I wasn't trained to like, the same way you have to like get good at like reading a teleprompter. Like I just didn't have that skill and I
didn't read a teleprompter, but it is a balancing act of hearing the entire newscast and other people in the field and the anchors, and you have to connect with the story, first of all, like and the information and the camera and all of that good stuff.
Wait, can I ask a question? Once you guys wrap, like let's say like you report in the bad part of town and then you guys are done. Wait, when you say like, is there no cameraman? Is it sometimes just you on a tripod?
No, it was always just me on a tripod.
Aren't you worried that somebody would like yank your tripod?
Of course. But that's parte del oficio.
No, totally.
And we were always told, supposedly, that if our life was ever in danger, just leave the equipment. But how true is that really? You know what I mean?
And are they going to pay you? Are they going to buy your new phone? And what? Yeah. How would you record? It
wasn't a phone. It's like a huge camera
that they paid for.
Yes, it's all. Yeah, it was owned by the station.
Okay. Well, no, because comedians, like when I record myself, it's me on my phone. And like I had a great set one day and somebody knocked it into a daiquiri thing. Yeah, it was a bummer. Oh, no. I was more pissed that the set didn't record because the phones you can like, they can get wet. But I was like, coño, a fucking strawberry daiquiri just like ate my whole set. Would you ever go for like a milkshake after like a gnarly like?
You know,
do you ever like give yourself a little sweet treat once you like?
In an ideal world, yes, but there's no time for that because once you've wrapped a newscast, you have to go back to the station. You have to upload your story.
Pero coño, you're not stopping at Wendy's, girl. I'm stopping at McDonald's.
No.
Oh, you're a good girl.
But also,
oh no.
That seems like a lifetime ago. You know,
sure.
I'm no longer in news and I miss a lot of aspects about it, which is why I actually started this podcast, like to be able to connect with people and storytelling.
Your voice is so like, I love it.
But it really isn't sustainable, at least in the way that I was doing it, because you're working under pressure all the time, which I actually thrive in. But again, I don't think it's sustainable 100% of the time. The world could be ending, but no matter what, by 2 p.m. you have to have everything in. And if there's breaking news, everything that you dedicated your entire day towards gathering is not necessarily out the window, but it's no longer your story. It's kind of like passed on to the broader newscast team.
And then it goes to like the front desk people?
Yes. Okay. And it's like, well, okay, like I just put all this time like interviewing people and writing, and now I have to start from scratch with less time. So it's very much
what
a
boot
wig
camp.
Out. It's very much a boot camp, and me quito el sombrero, literal, to everyone who still does that.
Yeah.
But it is a bit discouraging to feel and to have experienced the fact that the industry is still very anticuado. You know, like if you look at the Today Show or like people who make it big, they're still on the older side, and there's nothing wrong with that. But it speaks to, again, in my experience and in my opinion, the fact that talent isn't always enough.
Oh, girl, who are you telling? Yes. That's in any industry. Yes, we can turn these cameras off and I can be like, look at all these people who are big and shouldn't be.
Yes. Talent isn't always enough, but also it really depends on who's making the decisions and the fact that like you might have the talent and you might have the drive and the passion, but they had to eat shit, so therefore you do too. Like, and pay your dues is what I mean by that.
Totally.
So I think that's
being able to
as well.
Pay for everything while you still
Yes, and journalists do not get paid well at all. It's a very underappreciated line of work
that everybody needs.
That everybody needs. But yes, it's a lot. It's a lot to juggle. But I don't regret it. Honestly, I'm very, very, very thankful for it. I know that I lived someone's dream. I lived my own dream, you know, at some point. But I think it's very different now. You know, like once you taste work-life balance or any semblance of that, you're like, I don't know if I can go back.
No, it's nice to eat nice food.
Yes, but beyond that, I wouldn't have my dog had it not been for that. You know, when I moved to New York, I was working full-time and in grad school full-time. I would not have been able to do that as a news reporter because you're quite literally dependent on a 24/7 news cycle, you know? So I'm glad that I experienced it and I don't regret it. And I also will never say never to going back in some capacity. But I do think that work-life balance is still very important to me. And then also being able to have more of a say in what you cover and how you cover it. Because I'm most passionate about like the happy stories, and maybe that's idealistic, and like the community-focused stories. But
we need them.
Depending on the type of, news director that you have or the priorities of the company that you work for, you're only ever covering tragedy, know, or like really sad stories.
Clickbait.
That, sometimes it's clickbait, sometimes is important to know based on like, there's a crime spree or whatever the case may be. But going back to the point that I was making of like, it's not sustainable. Too much of one thing is not sustainable. So being able to do a little bit of everything and versatility, and you don't really get that much of a say anymore. But I do feel like I'm living my dream in a way.
Wait, two things. What'd you go to grad school for?
Public relations and corporate communications with a focus in crisis management.
Okay, hello. We're proud.
Yeah,
she graduated.
Yeah.
But I feel like everything that you learned, like, look at how perfect and poised you are.
Oh my gosh, thank you.
Like, you're so una loca aquí, like, climbing up the walls, and you're like, and how did that affect you growing up? You know what I mean? You've been so great.
Thank you.
Like, you could be a politician if you wanted to. Like, you have that, like, training. You're like, that's what's next.
No. I mean, honestly, when people ask me, like, what is the dream? I don't think I can describe it other than, of course, I want to be happy as anybody would.
Sure.
I do think that there's more to be done in general. Just like, I would love to host bigger scale events, for example, and like do red carpets. I started actually my career covering a red carpet, and just having more fun with it at the end of the day. Like, I think one of the dreams is like, okay, if Netflix would be like, hey, we love how you host your podcast. Do you want to get paid to interview people around the world? Hell yeah, tomorrow.
Right.
I would do that tomorrow. But I do think nonetheless that I am very happy with everything that I'm doing. And I don't know what's next, but whatever I'm working towards just makes sense. I can feel that I'm closer to whatever that is.
Right.
What is the dream for you?
I had so much fun on tires. Like, it was so much. I was like, que sueño. And like, I've noticed that whenever I'm on set, I like wake up before my alarm. Which is a cool like indicator.
It's a big deal.
Yeah, oh yeah, big time.
Not wanting to snooze is a huge deal.
Yeah, it's a good metric. So I've noticed that whenever I have some sort of like acting thing, and I was like, oh, this is really cool. And part of the reason why I'm starting up my podcast again is to like, so that's the question that I was going to ask you, because I think it's different for comedians, but it seems like the landscape has completely changed for journalists as well, because now any asshole with a green screen could, in theory, like set up their phone and just report on whatever is happening, right?
Yeah, I think that's actually a really good point that you bring up, because years and years ago, right, truly news stations, news outlets were the only ones with like the whole and like all of the information, right? And so that's why people so very religiously like would tune in at the 6 p.m. news,
right,
8
whatever,
o'clock news, whatever the case may be. Now there's citizen journalism, and what does that mean? Everyone has a phone, everyone can record, and so it's no longer a focus of being the first, but being the most truthful, right? And
reliable.
Exactly, establishing credibility and getting as many points of the story as possible. And so, to your point, I think credibility is harder to prove as a result, because you're no longer the gatekeeper of information, number one. Also, and this might be controversial, but I don't think journalism is purely unbiased anymore. And I don't think that it's completely reasonable to expect a journalist to be 100% unbiased, because
they're a person.
They too are people.
Yeah.
Exactly. So if they're covering, imagínate yo cubriendo una historia de migración siendo latina. Like, first of all, I have a heart, but also like, I have a bit of a stake in the story because it's our people, so.
I watched one battle after another this weekend, and it opens with like ICE, like it's like a big detention center.
Yeah.
And I started crying.
Yeah.
And I was with like 6 other people, and and go see it. It's great. Go see it twice. But yeah, no, I get it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can't even imagine trying to be unbiased during like, if I had to report on like the whole Elian Gonzalez thing, like.
I will say, though, that because of green screens and because of the accessibility to being on anyone's screen at this point, it does give back a little bit of power, per se, or control to storytellers in order to tell the stories however they think they should be told, Right. And so you're skipping through the middlemen, and it's now more direct. But that's a double-edged sword as well, because nowadays, I still think that a lot of media literacy needs to be increased for the public. Like,
Sure.
we see it all the time with like
Yeah.
AI generated footage, but people aren't trained to pinpoint it.
Our parents
or
don't
they'll
know.
be able to, they
Yeah.
just believe whatever it is
Yeah,
and they'll
yeah,
reshare
yeah.
it because it's easy to reshare.
Right, or
and
the
it's not
deep
as
fake.
easy to
Yeah.
look into it and get the facts, you know? So
Right.
I do think there are pros and cons to how the industry is, you know, evolving on both sides of the spectrum.
Yeah. That's how I feel about comedy. Yeah.
We were out of time.
Oh my gosh. Sorry. Yeah. No, land the
No.
plane, girl. You did
Well,
it. You crushed.
I say that because there's still so much more that I would have loved to ask
I
you.
bet
But
we'll go to
ultimately,
brunch with the dogs. Don't worry about it.
But ultimately, though, you know, as you were talking about like what the dream is, you were talking about how acting, you know, kind of like lights this fire in you, and the fact that you wake up before your alarm, like that's a sense of excitement, right? So
Sure.
if you could describe what else that looked like, does that mean you want to do more acting? Do you want more roles like the ones that you had in Tires? Like, do you want to be able to dedicate full time to this and maybe not have to be a secretary?
Yeah. When I get pissed at work, I'm like, I can't wait till Netflix calls. Like they already, like I say that to the kids, obviously not to the boss, but I'm like, tu vas a ver. Yeah, and part of the reason why I'm starting the podcast is so that I can kind of move from, you know, if I have to have a day job, I'd rather it be a podcast.
Yeah.
You know, where I'm like generating enough revenue and income through that so that I can just like, and be able to choose role. And then obviously like, yeah, be able to choose roles that actually excite me and not just doing it like,
Because
oh,
you
I'm
have
going to
to,
play Captain
yeah.
Kitten. You know what I mean? And I'm like, I don't care about Captain Kitten.
Yeah. If you could describe your dream role, what would it be? If you could make your own role, which you kind of can, you're a writer.
Sure. I mean, I love what I'm writing now, which is like, gosh, I don't know how much I can say. I'm writing a movie that I would love to like give to Danny McBride and be like, here, this is for you. And I play your wife in it? But that sounds so like not centering myself. That's just the idea that I'm working on now.
Okay.
A dream role. Oh, this is perfect. Do you know who Edie Gourmet is? You know,
Yes.
Panchos? I would love to make a movie about them. Because I grew up, like, I know all her songs. And, like, growing up, my mom was the computer teacher at our school, and she made disc, like, copies for all las tias and the gran tias of, like, I always explain to people, yeah, like, the same way there's an American songbook, there's a Spanish songbook. So all these, like, old songs that you hear on, like, Buena Vista Social Club and all these things.
Have you gone to see it?
Girl,
by the
we
way?
cried. I took my mom for her 70th birthday, and, like,
I've been 3 times.
I would go again with you
1,000
right
more.
now. Yeah. I loved it. But like that was another thing. I'm not that big of a crier, but like, and my mom, my Taurus queen, she never cries. And I was like, are we both crying? Like, this is so beautiful. Yeah, I tell her, I'll go tomorrow with you.
Yeah, same.
So yeah, I would love to. Yeah, that'd be cool in 10 years if I'm like, girl, I did it. I made
10
the movie.
years,
Or 5
shorter,
or whatever.
girl.
2.
And not because 10 is a lot. I mean, 10 is a lot, but I do think that there's power in manifestation.
Oh,
and
big time.
I think there's
yeah.
so much power in everything that you're already doing because it aligns, whether you mean it to or not, towards what it is that you want to attract more of. So all of that to say that it has been lovely to have you on and to get to know you more.
Oh, this is so nice.
And I'm excited to see you play that role specifically.
The Edie Gourmet one.
And to also hear the podcast that's coming out soon.
thanks.
And
We'll see each
your
other in the studio.
Screenplays come to life. Yes.
Thanks,
So thank you.
girl.
De verdad, muchas
Ay,
gracias.
Thanks, this is so nice.
Yeah, of
Qué
course.
orgullo,
And
qué
thank you
emoción.
all for watching and listening. Until next time.